So Freddie Kitchens will be the Browns' 18th head coach in their storied franchise. He spent the last 8 games as the team's offensive coordinator, developing Baker Mayfield. But we're not sure Baker's sold on the hire. Say what?
We're still going to go 4 wide, Dot. Come here. Hell yeah, put him up there. Hell yeah.
The guy's an idiot.
We gotta love Baker, man. He's so good for the league, man.
He is good.
He's so good for the league. I like the hire though, and I think they offered the job to McCarthy, but the caveat was he had to keep Freddie Kitchens, and he didn't want any parts of it, so they let him go, and now he's going to be watching for a year. But I think it's a good hire. I think what they did was good with the offense, continue to develop. Baker Mayfield. Oddly enough, Greg Williams fired. I thought that defense played well, but I guess you can't have a Manchurian candidate guy trying to steal your job behind, ear hustling, talking to the owner like, I told you I'm better than him. You know how it works.
I think it's a good hire, especially short term. You don't have to be committed long term.
Yeah.
I believe in a lot of the football people. In Arizona, I believe in Steve Keim. There, I believe in Dorsey. I believe in the decisions they make. They got good football people. They should make good decisions. I believe they made one.
All right, moving on, Bart. The Eagles, they head to New Orleans Sunday as 8-point underdogs. Not shocking, considering the Saints beat them by 41 points back in Week 11. But to Nick Foles, who wasn't the quarterback that day, Philly wouldn't be getting ready for a divisional round playoff game without that loss.
That game has, helped us become the team we are today. Going through that's not easy as a team to lose like that, but it's like I said, there's never pointing of fingers. It actually brought us closer. It can separate a team or it can bring a team closer, and it brought us closer.
I'm never going to disagree with Nick Foles. Football guys will look down on me and shun me from success. So whatever Nick says is the truth.
It would be blasphemous to go against Nick Foles in that locker room on the run they're on right now. All right, Bart, how does this Eagles offense, with Nick Foles at the helm, how do they go up against the Saints defense?
Is Nick Foles like the new Tebow? He want to bless babies and all that stuff?
Until
I
he loses.
When he gets to the lineup, I tell you what, they're going to have a real problem on their hands if he goes on another run. They got to make a real decision, because it's not always about who's the best quarterback. Talent-wise, is who's the best quarterback for that team. And with Nick Foles, this offense moves at a pace and a rhythm. And I said it weeks ago. I said it, months ago. I said it months ago. It's just like
years.
This offense, decades ago. I tell you what, this offense moves with a pace and a rhythm when Nick Foles is there. And he's a guy that has tremendous belief. He's not concerned about the numbers. He's not concerned with the fame. Did you see his reaction when they won, when they hit the double clank? It was like, nah, whatever.
Do you think he can do what you're talking about, this offense? Do you think they can do that against this Saints defense that the last 6 weeks has been outstanding?
I think they can move the football. I think they can, be in it. I think, it wouldn't intimidate me to go against that Saints defense. Now, they're good, and they play well together, complementary football. But, I think Darren Sproles is a guy that's going to come to life, a guy that you can use some of that fast speed against them, in the screen game. And then taking shots with Alshon Jeffries. When you take shots with Alshon Jeffries, 2 things can happen. And most of them are good for the offense. It's either going to be illegal contact, your guy's going to catch it. When it's one-on-one and you can identify the one-on-one, it's rarely intercepted, maybe broken up. But guys don't go for interceptions when it's one-on-one on that, unless they know they have help on the top. It's going to be important that Doug Peterson draws up some things to get some shots of guys down the field. It's all about explosives. And then just trying to keep pace and hope that you can turn Drew Brees over.
Listen, I think that you can just look to how the Steelers had their success offensively, despite a game where they had some bad turnovers, despite a game where they had some questionable special teams moves, where they scored 28, or when the Rams put up 35. And what it wasn't they gashed them on the ground, because this Saints defense has been excellent run defense all year. It's been a diversity in receiving options with the Steelers. Juju and AB both had monster games. In the Rams game, Brandon Cooks and Cooper Kupp, to go along with Robert Woods, I believe, all had very big games. And the Eagles do have a diversity of receiving talent. They're not the Dallas Cowboys, where it's Amari Cooper and a bunch of guys.
They have it, and they have a quarterback who utilizes the diversity.
Which is it's a key point. It's not a Zach Ertz-centric offense anymore. Alshon gets involved. Darren Sproles out of the backfield. They didn't have the first time around. We know that Golden Tate was their big midseason acquisition. Underwhelming, but then made a really tough catch in the second quarter of the game against the game this weekend against the Bears, where he got crushed, and then the game game-winning touchdown. So you can find different guys, and that's the way to get to the Saints, in my opinion, because, see, as you've made the point, the Saints have a few weak links in the back end.
Yes.
Overall, the unit's strong, but there are some few weak links they can target, and teams have targeted throughout the season.
Yeah, the number one target has to be Eli Apple. Now, Eli Apple resurrected his career after being a disappointment. First-round pick from Ohio State with the New York Football Giants. Wore out his welcome not only on the field there, but also in the locker room. Sean Payton felt like, and Sean Payton loves Ohio State players, man. You get Sean Payton, he loves them, loves the way they play. They got 4 there in the secondary, I think 6 total on the team. So they felt like the change to that environment, it's helped him. It's helped get his career turned around. And he is, you could see why he's a first-round pick, but he still has struggled sometimes as far as technique. When he's in bump and run, his technique gets poor, and he gets beat deep down the field. Patrick Robertson, who had done a tremendous job as a slot nickelback, since he's been injured earlier in the season, they've struggled at those 2 spots. So Nick Foles and this Eagles team, how can they get the ball deep down the field to whomever? Alshon Jeffrey is their best deep ball wide receiver and most consistent. And can they take advantage of the trade for Golden Tate that the Saints are trying to take advantage of with Eli Apple? Can we get Golden Tate in that slot and have him to have a major input on this game? That, to me, is the way that the Eagles are going to be able to win. This is the most hostile environment to me. Kansas City, it is tough. But that dome, the artificial noise, the noise doesn't escape. Gillette is difficult with Belichick and Brady. But to me, the one place that I wouldn't want to go would be New Orleans. Now, Kansas City, man, it's going to be tough to be able to win there. The fans there, but they're nervous. New England's nervous because they're not as good as they have been. I believe that the Saints, the fans, they have the confidence. That's the toughest place to play this weekend.
Bart, how much better is this team today than they were in Week 11 when they got just, as you would say, mollywopped by the Saints?
I think they reestablished their identity. I think, with Wentz, they were throwing the ball too much. I think they really paid more attention to the run, even though they don't have Jay Ajayi. You look at what Sproles is able to do. He's able just to keep the offense on a pace, make sure that you get a win on first down. Make sure that you're able to get into those, those non-predictable second down, situations.
2nd and 4 where you can do anything.
And I think the commitment to the run, and it's not always about the run, it's about the attempts. It's not always about the yardage. And I think that keeps the linebackers honest and allows you to open that field, where Ertz can operate. And Ertz is the guy that's the hardest guy to match up with. So they got to figure out how they're going to try and take him away, which is going to create opportunities for other guys. Who's going to step up and make plays? It's always an unsung hero in every game. We just don't know who it's going to be.
Yeah, I think that I know that the Eagles have played tremendous since this game. They've totally changed. But styles make fights.
Yep.
And the Eagles do not match up with the Saints and what they can do offensively. We saw one of the highlights. They move Kamara outside. When they move him outside, it's going to be either 1 or 2 guys. Malcolm Jenkins is their best option. And we saw the result of that. Like, they don't have anyone to be able to cover their running backs in space. Philly, if they go to nickel, how they stop the running game. Mark Ingram broke off that huge run against them, and they don't have someone for Michael Thomas. Play in, play out. He's too physical for the corner, so I believe this secondary is very, very questionable. Drew Brees takes advantage of them.
And that's why I think it's important to focus on the game from the perspective that we started this segment. How can the Eagles score points? Because I think it is almost impossible for the Eagles defense to stymie the Saints offense. Like, you're going to need 28 minimum to win this game if you're Philly, and maybe into the 30s. I think if you told Doug Peterson, you're going to hold Drew Brees and the Saints to 27 this week, they would take it in a heartbeat. And so I think that's to your point, Sue.
We did say the same thing when the Saints played the Cowboys. We said they're going to need to score 100% more than 24, and somehow, some way they're able to do it. So maybe the Eagles take a page out of the Cowboys book. Bart, we'll see you a little bit later on the show. Coming up,
okay.
Did the Browns make the right decision for Baker Mayfield? Next on First Things First.